That makes you a hell of a lot more well-rounded, that's for damn sure. All right, B-roll. We know what B-roll is. We're in the B-roll. All right. We're moving on up. We got speakers, we got B-roll.
So Facebook. Oh, great. The password's not working. Alex 13. Capital I. Am. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Exclamation mark.
Mm-hmm.
F.
Lowercase f.
Yeah. Changed in 2024.
It's not going through.
I am Alex 2024 exclamation here. Let me copy it. I'll send it in Messenger.
I'm like dying. Oh my gosh, I can't.
Do you have Messenger on the laptop you're using?
Do I have what? No.
Oh, you.
Wait, text
I
it to
told you I'm
me.
gonna send it there.
Text it to me.
It's on my computer, Danielle.
Oh, take a picture of it.
I'll email it to Beth. You just got in her email, right?
Yeah. Oh, see, there's people in the waiting room already.
You hear Peppa Pig?
Yeah. Mhm. It's this is Facebook. Jen,
What are you asking for?
it's not working. No, that is what I'm asking for, but it's not working. Oh wait, it's loading. No, it's not going through, Jen. Is it BethWriter@kw.com? Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not working.
Hold on. I'll call Michelle.
Okay, I have to test Mike, so I'll call you back.
Right.
All right, bye. Okay, it's because when we go live on Zoom, it lets us go live on Facebook at the same time. But if I can't log into the Facebook, but I have right. Okay, so let's grab Mike's. Is Aaron here? Yeah. Let's grab Mike's.
Yeah, just nobody knows that. I'll get you there. I'll do it myself. So, no. But, well, it's something that I've been unique for this hobby for the last 3 years as an house. So like.
Okay, this one's good.
But then the projects that we do for the company. So it's not just like going in and helping save countries or going in and like
Here, why don't you go test it with them while I get this sorted out?
it's pretty big, but we're split into 2 different divisions. So there's life care plan where Sagewood.
Hi, I'm Isabel.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Sagewood. And so life care plan is like huge complexes where it's independent, senior living, memory care, and skilled nursing. Okay, it's a skilled nursing. And in those are
A test, I need like
The
a,
iPad? Here.
Recording in progress.
They have 28 of the rental properties that are.
I'm gonna get you in a meeting.
What? I get a mic?
And just set up.
Check.
Turn this off.
I'm all mic'd up now. Get out of here, fancy guy.
And now you're gonna get back for what?
No, so there's 28 communities in the rental division that are asset management, which means LCS is an owner of that property. And then there's 24 properties that are just third-party management. So they're just the third-party management into that. So my role is all over the asset management. So that's the higher end property line or product line, so to speak. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to take this whole landscape and bring it down to one standard and expectation. So whether it's rental or whether it's life care plan, we're still executing the same thing. So like all the life care plan communities, there's like 6 to 8 different dining venues on property that are just open different days of the week. So like Friendship Village, which is over on Dobson and in between Southern and the freeway, they just built a in-house brewery, rooftop brewery. So they're brewing their own beer and it's on the rooftop. Outside dining venue, like totally top of the line type of stuff. So
Yeah.
how do we take that, or how do we do like what I do and implement into what they're doing? Hey guys, check this out. Here's where you need to, start driving this force of how we do it, instead of just getting directors of culinary to come in and they're half-ass, and it's a struggle. So
Yeah.
it's cool that I get to be a part of all that process, instead of, hey, this building's on fire, we need you to go save it.
Right.
Which is what I was doing before with a different company. They're like, this building's on fire in
We're out of.
Fulton, California. Yeah, all right, you gotta go. We're rebuilding the whole elevator in Napa Valley
Okay.
community. We need you to go there for 10 days and
Dave, do you see our question?
build dining rooms around,
Daniel, how come you have your apron on then?
You want to not have me in? Oh,
No, I want you to be in. You're participating.
It's that.
I thought,
Oh.
Or.
Are you not gonna participate? Why not?
going to if you don't want me.
No, I want you to. That's why I'm saying. I just want to make sure you're aware you had it. Okay, that's all. I'm just checking in. I've already been here. I cleaned up.
And then you're gonna stay muted because remember the meat is over there.
Okay.
And then just talk really quick so I can check in the name to make sure it's properly.
3 minutes.
Where's the mic gonna be?
The receivers and the other one.
wherever your mic.
Oh, I mean, we're the mic. I mean.
We're the mic, I was gonna
That's what I
say.
meant.
Check 1, 2, what is this?
And you guys can hear us? Daniela?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Okay, just
Hello,
wanna make sure we're
hello.
testing.
Hello.
Testing.
Yeah. Now that I'm mic'd up, I gotta change my. Welcome everybody to Let's Get Cooking.
Let's get cooking.
Okay, we're gonna go for a new color out today.
Today, let's get cooking.
Next time, what are we having next month?
Uh,
Raspberry chipotle salmon
yeah.
and coconut lime rice. And today we're doing cherry risotto, pistachio crusted lamb chop. Oh. Okay. Asked for this to be sorted and it's not sorted.
Be like what? Oh, just broken apart.
I wanted it to be trilogy group.
Oh, all set up like that.
Yeah, which agents, so now I just have to figure it all out. It's just stupid.
Where's the marker? Where's the pen? Star.
It's just
Star, star, star.
silly because that's how we were supposed to do it.
Silliest thing
Can you guys hear me? Can we tell from this list who got ingredients? Did you guys hear me?
Star. Highlight. Sort.
You're supposed to sort it for me by builder. That's the one I want printed. certain. I mean, is there any way I can, I mean, here, can you highlight them?
I'll bring it.
Okay. I mean, it's just so hard to,
I don't know. I better not be saying bad words on here.
Okay.
Everyone. Hey, y'all, what's happening?
oh, weird because.
I don't know if she.
Oh,
Right, thanks, Jen. Oh,
in.
Wait, hey, is Jen doing live? Oh, Janet, we're gonna Facebook stream, right? Okay. Steve, you coming?
yeah, you can. Oh, let me admit it.
Coffee or cheese, are we?
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell everybody how to leave.
Marianne is on, Courtney's in the hall, Linda, your mom, Henry B, Diane Jackson, Jackie Bratty. Ruby.
Little B-roll.
Is there a little B-roll? Is that what we're doing? All right, we're ready? Game live?
Before we get going, we gotta be cooking.
Right.
You know what we're gonna say?
Tell me when you're ready on your end.
What?
We're just doing our let's get cooking calisthenics
Yeah,
before we get going.
That's what it is.
Before we get going, yeah, before we get going.
He did 10 runs.
10 runs.
Before noon, that's stellar.
One.
Welcome, everybody, to Let's Get Cooking.
We're kicking off the year 2025.
Oh, it's
January.
season 5?
Season 5,
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh.
Amazing. I can't believe it's been 5 years since we've all joined each other.
It's awesome, actually.
That is great. It's weird. We got a little bit of a microphone feedback here this afternoon, but welcome everybody. We're super happy to see you again.
Welcome to the new year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
And what are we making tonight? We're gonna do pistachio
Oh, yum, yum, yum,
crusted
yum.
lamb chop.
So I know lamb's not a favorite, right? Lamb's
Not always
pretty
my favorite.
gamey. You either like it or you don't.
Okay.
I stumbled across this playing in my kitchen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a pistachio crusted lamb chop with a cherry risotto.
Oh,
If you have the time, you can get fresh cherries in the spring and you can take out the pits and you can roast your cherries to make a roasted cherry risotto. That's what I did when I was playing around. But for this, time frame doesn't work that well. So we're going to shortcut it and teach you pretty much the same thing with less time.
that's
But
good.
anyway,
Mise en
it's
place.
going to be fast and furious today. So stay with me. I'll stay as slow as I can for you guys, but there's going to be a lot going on because of what we got to do. The risotto takes a lot of time. It takes attention, which is a big piece to it because you don't want to burn it. And then the lamb chop is just a tedious process. Once it's in the oven, kind of does its thing. After that,
It's bad. It's good.
it's good. That's right. We hope it's not bad. We don't want that. We don't want that. All right. So mise en place. First
Yes.
things first. Get your goat cheese out of the refrigerator. We want to make sure that this is soft. Okay. If it's in the refrigerator, take it out, let it sit around. If you want, put it by your stove. It'll heat up, it'll warm up. We need this to be room temperature because we need this to be very pliable. Goat cheese typically really is. The reason we want it to be at a warmer temperature is because we're going to spread it on our lamb chops
Oh,
to crust the pistachio, right? So
Okay.
we're going to use our goat cheese to hold on the pistachios.
so if it is cold, what you were doing is you were just standing.
All I
and
was just working it,
it.
just kind of pressing it, just breaking it up a little, warming it up some, because we want to make sure that we're able to spread it, right? So pull this out, okay?
So if someone has an extra hand and one person's cooking, someone could be working on that too.
If you want to zap this in the microwave for 15 seconds,
That's
go
okay.
ahead and do so, okay?
Okay.
Don't
good
go
to know.
further than that. If you want to go 15 seconds, 10 seconds increments, go right ahead. But it doesn't, you don't want to melt it, right? Because it'll melt if you want it to, but we want it to be soft. We want it to be spreadable like butter.
Perfect.
Okay?
Good to know.
So warmed up.
All right.
Second, everyone have their red wine? We need to decork our red wine so we can let it breathe,
Okay.
right? Everyone knows that if you are having red wine, we want it to breathe. We want all of, oh, what you want to call it?
Cannons.
Yes, to breathe, right? To be released so that way when we drink it has a different flavor profile as opposed to just pouring it right out. Red wine is typically served at room temperature. If you want to chill it, go right ahead, but pop it so that way it can breathe, right?
Okay,
That's a
perfect.
big piece. So make sure that's set and ready to go because it'll be breathing while we're working.
Perfect.
Okay. All of our mise en place, I got our oven on at 400.
Okay.
I have our cast iron for our lamb chop searing. We have a pan here. This is going to be for our risotto. I have our chicken stock already in a pot here. We want to heat this up. So get a pot out, get your chicken stock going. The reason being is we want to add our stock to our risotto, our barrio rice, as it's hot. So that way we continue to keep the temperature in here equal, right? So we don't lose any temperature as we're adding cold stock to that. So that's an important piece. And then we have another sauce pot. Beth, I apologize for all the dishes you're going to have to do. Maybe we can get Steve to help out with that later, but we'll see. This is going to be for our reduction, our red wine and cherry reduction is a
Okay.
nice little sauce for our lamb chops. So I know a lot of people use mint as a sauce for lamb. Mint pairs very, very well with lamb. I've established that the goat cheese helps take away from that gaminess. So as you're taking a bite, the creaminess of the goat cheese cuts away that gaminess
Okay.
of a lamb, right? Because it is pretty, you like it or you don't like
Okay.
it, right?
I'm excited to try it. I haven't had lamb, so excited about that.
This is the first time you've had lamb?
I
No,
think
you've
so.
had it
I
before.
probably have tried it. It's just not something I would order or I would
Anywhere,
probably
right?
try Steve's.
Well,
but-
this was one of the things that I want to teach you guys. This is a dish that you would see on a high-end restaurant menu.
Right.
And I want to teach you, it's not that hard to do. We can do it in the comfort of our own home
Lovely.
and with great company. So yes, we have a question?
I don't have a cast iron.
You do not need a cast iron. All you need is a large enough frying pan that will fit your lamb chop in. The reason I like to use the cast iron is because it gets really hot really fast and it maintains temperature. So it gets a good sear. As you see, I've already seared one of our chops to get a nice golden color here. So that's why I prefer the cast iron. Actually, cooking in cast iron is fantastic. If you don't, you should get one. Have someone buy you one for your birthday. Right?
It
good.
is a great investment. We use ours all the time.
And it's, as you've seen over the
Versatile.
courses, over our seasons, we use it for a lot of things. The reason I like it so much is because of how hot it can get,
Yeah.
that it gets a good sear. And that's really what we're looking for, to seal in those juices, right?
Wonderful.
And then our other stuff does everyone have one of these by a show of hands? Silly question to ask everybody in the audience. Nice little food processor. If you don't have this, that's okay. You can put your pistachios in a bag like such. You can use a coffee grinder to chop these guys up, and it's just going to be pulsam. This I'll show you in a minute how we can break these down on your cutting board with not having to go outside and smack them on the concrete with a hammer, but there's an easier way to do it. But this keeps them all confined in here and you don't have pistachios all over your kitchen. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this because we're gonna break down our pan codes so it's not so thick and crunchy like this, but to be almost a finer consistency because we don't want this real, we don't want this overwhelming crust on the outside of our lamb chop. We
Right,
want
you don't
it
want it
to
to be all crust.
correct. We want it to have this nice little delicacy, but incorporating this with this so it's not all pistachio.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
We want to blend it together, right? We have our garlic nice and minced up. If you want to practice your knife skills, this is a great way to do so. Mince your garlic, takes a little bit of time, but it's pretty easy. I have our dried cherries, I have our shallots, and I have our onions ready to go. Other than that, let's get cooking.
Let's get cooking.
All
I'm
right.
excited about
All right, so first and foremost, let's turn on our frying pan that we're gonna do our lamb chops in because we wanna sear those first. The reason we wanna sear those first is we're gonna need them to cool down some in order to put the goat cheese on, okay? So I got some oil in here. What I have, I'm gonna add just a teeny tiny bit more, not a lot, just a little olive oil. So that way this pan can get nice and hot. We can create a nice little sear. This is going to be about a tablespoon. What I added in there before was probably about 2.5 tablespoons. So this lamb, as I seared, kind of absorbed some of that oil from the first go around. And the only reason I did one is because we're feeding a little more than you guys are. That's all. But we want to make sure that this gets nice and hot. Everyone has their stock going. That's an important piece. We want to make sure that this gets nice and hot. So as we're adding it to our risotto, we did risotto in,
boy, a couple few weeks ago.
I want to say the last time we did risotto was with our lobster tail, the saffron risotto. Yeah.
It's been a while.
That was season 1.
I think so.
actually. So
Yes.
it has been a while.
Been 4 years.
Risotto is something that it's rice technically, but it has kind of a pasta-like texture when you eat it. So what happens is you cook rice till it release all of the starch, which gives it that creaminess, right?
Yeah.
We'll show you when we get a little bit longer or a little bit further in, is that I like to leave my risotto a little bit wetter than traditionally because it dries up really, really quickly.
Okay.
And the reason being is when we plate, we'll be okay. But when you go to reheat it, it'll still maintain that integrity. So that's not just going to be a ball of mush. Actually, you could take your leftover risotto and you can roll it in your breadcrumbs and then you can fry it. And then we have an arancini. So a whole totally different dish,
Sounds like
an
it.
appetizer, right? So just another thing that we can utilize with our leftovers.
All right.
So what we're looking for when our pan gets nice and hot, we're looking for that ripple, right? We're looking for that, the separation. You can see the olive oil start to dance a little bit. We don't want to see it smoking technically. You'll see some a little bit, but if it's creating a lot of smoke, it's too hot. Turn your flame down because we don't want to burn what we're doing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so as this continues to heat up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna salt and pepper. And in our recipe, it's both sides. We will do the other side. I just do this one side first because that's what's gonna hit the pan first. And then once it's in the pan, we can salt and pepper the other side.
Perfect.
There's no real need to do it in here. I mean, you'll lose some of it. It's not too big of a deal. It's all pretty simple. So let's see how hot this guy is just by giving it a little test. Ooh, hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
So we're at our temperature. All I'm doing is going to move the oil around to get a nice even coat through the pan, just like such. And we're going to let that sit there and let it do its thing. So remember, to sear is high heat, short amount of time.
Right.
Little bit of fat, right? And the reason we do sear is because we seal in the juices. When we go to finish this in the oven, it'll continue to, all the water content is going to cook into the middle and create this eye. So that way, when we let it rest, all those juices flow back out into the meat, which make our lamb chops nice and tender, right? Whether it's pork loin, pork tenderloin, beef, chicken, as you saw, searing chicken like this and finishing in the oven, totally different when we go to make our dish, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're just gonna go take a peek here. Usually takes about 2-3 minutes, depends on how hot our pan is. If you're not having that constant crackle in your pan, go ahead, turn your heat up a little bit. It means you need to get your pan a little bit hotter, right? If it's too hot, if you turn it over right now and it's already starting to get black, turn your heat down just a little bit. Go ahead and flip your lamb chop. Or if you're already getting a nice golden brown sear on the side because your pan was hot, you're gonna want to hold it on the edge right here, right? So like this.
So you're gonna get it, otherwise you won't get that side.
Because you can't get that side, because we do want to sear that side right there. And that's a big piece to it.
Kind of get it all in there.
Yep, and we want to make sure that we do get a good even sear all the way around. So the longer you sear, the less time in the oven, but then again, the longer you sear, the less juice you're going to be able to maintain at your end product, because this is a cooking technique, right? So we don't want to overdo it here to overdo it in the oven. Yes, caller, you have a
Always
question?
balance.
None, because lamb's not cheap. If you're gonna use the shank, you can't do this process with it because the lamb shank is from the foot or just above the hook, so it's very, very tough, which means you gotta braise it. You gotta cook it for a long time in a good amount of liquid, so that way it breaks up those tissues to be nice and tender. Other than that, you could do the same process with a pork chop. You could do the same process with chicken. So if you're looking to save money because lamb's pricey, by all means, go ahead and
Go with
use.
the pork or the chicken.
Yeah, do this with pork tenderloin.
Which is always a great alternative, and it might be a little easier to cook.
Yeah, so pork tenderloin's relatively cheap to buy, which is nice. And it's tender. It's just the way that it is. But the same process, nice little sear, let it cool, goat cheese, roll it in our crust, finish it in the oven. You could use the same sauce, the same risotto. Everything would be exactly the same, just using pork tenderloin over lamb. Yep.
That's a great idea. Great question. Because, sometimes
And
you don't want
like,
to overspend.
not even that, but just like I said, lamb's one of the ones you either like it or you don't like it. It's just one of those things. It's rabbit. You like rabbit or you don't. You like duck or you don't like duck. I mean, it's just how it goes, just because of the nature of what it is. It has that certain gaminess to it, right? That, I don't know, some people like it, some people don't really like it. That's why they serve mint with the lamb, because it kind of helps cut that out.
Right.
Tricks your taste buds to thinking that it's
You're
going to be
switching it up,
delicious.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to cut the heat off of this guy so that way I'm going to let it sit in here for just a minute. My pan's nice and hot still. It's still finishing a sear. You see that we got a nice good sear right there, right? That's an important piece there.
All the way around. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get here because we can't, but that's okay.
Right.
The important piece is where the meat's at. All of that chop is what we're looking to catch that sear anyway, right? Where the meat is. Well, and then there's, it's not silver skin. Trying to think of what it's called.
Oh,
that lines the rib right here, which helps that.
tough.
Most of the time, yeah. And lamb, it's not, just because of how tender the lamb is. But in beef ribs or pork ribs, if you're not peeling off that layer, it's a ligament essentially. If you're not pulling that off, then yeah, super tough.
Kind of chewy.
So you see, we got a nice, good golden brown crust there. We're going to pull that. We're going to let that sit aside and cool down, just so that way we can then do our crust. So we have our stock at a boil. I'm going to turn that guy down because we're gonna want to get this going because risotto takes a little bit
Yes,
of
it
time.
does, and it takes
So
care.
we're gonna go ahead and get this set up. We got our pan going on at a medium-high heat. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil, probably about a tablespoon and a teaspoon. We're gonna have our onions. We're just gonna let this come up just a second. So then we can saute, high heat, little bit of fat, right? And what we're doing is we're extracting the sugars of our onion quick and fast, right? That's why we saute. So we can caramelize the vegetable
Right.
very quickly by doing it with a little bit of fat.
And it's nice to always see that some of our cooking kind of repeats itself. So even though we're making a different dish, we might start the same process the same way in other things we've made.
Correct. So with cooking, there's only so many techniques,
Right.
right? And these techniques are versatile, so you can use them through many different methods to achieve what you're looking to achieve,
Absolutely.
to create the dish that you're desiring.
Exactly.
Mhm. So we're going to get our onion going there. Spoon there, Beth.
I think that's going to be on your side.
And just
They're going to be on that side.
and we're
Lots of
gonna-
choices.
This pan, this
the back.
pot is the stock, the one back here. So it's hot stock. We want to make sure that we have our stock hot. So as we're adding this liquid to our barrio rice, it's hot. We're not cooling it down at all to then have to raise the temperature again. We're wanting to maintain a consistent heat from start to finish, and that's a big key to it. How's everyone doing out there? Everyone's keeping up so far? Everyone's already drinking their wine? It's usually how it
That's
goes.
usually how we start.
right?
Start with a glass of wine, and if you haven't poured it yet,
Now's a good
now is a
time.
good time to pour that wine.
So they say like 30 minutes is a good, 45 minutes is a good time frame to let your wine breathe.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people like to use the decanter.
Yes.
So with the decanter, it breathes a lot faster. So like 20-25 minutes is enough to allow that to do that process.
Absolutely.
If you haven't ever let your wine breathe, your red wine breathe, or you pour it in a glass and let it breathe, if you taste it right after you pour it and then let it sit for 10-15 minutes and taste it again, you'll notice that there is a difference.
There is a difference.
Yep.
So let it breathe.
That's right.
Definitely worth it.
Julie is asking what's in the pan with the rice?
There's no
No
rice
rice.
yet.
We only have onions.
So all we're doing is we're sauteing onions right now. A little bit of oil on a nice high heat, adding our onions so we can saute. Just so they start to get translucent, and we're almost there. And then we're going to add our garlic. So we're really wanting to extract this to get those caramelization.
And you can really start smelling how this is all cooking.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've got them, as you know, we talk about in our classes is what's our end goal with the dishes, right? So how do we want to cut our vegetables? You can see I have a nice small dice on this guy. I mean, this is like as small as like if you like an In-N-Out onion on an In-N-Out burger,
Okay,
right?
got it.
So that's that size. This is a nice small dice. So that way, as it cooks over time, it'll be there. You'll recognize it, but you won't take a bite of onion.
Right.
You won't
great.
notice it when you take a bite. Does that make sense? As opposed to if we cut these larger, you'll notice that it'll overwhelm the palate and take away from the cherry flavor. So we're really wanting to make sure that we're incorporating this onion flavor into our risotto without potentially overpowering the cherry, because the cherry is the focal point in this dish.
Absolutely. I know. I'm excited to see the use of that cherry. I think we talked about that before. How can we incorporate
anything, yeah, to do
fruits
something
into
different,
that?
something that you enjoy, but you don't think about cooking with it,
Right.
right?
And
A
that's how I think
plum,
we came up with cherries,
a
right?
pear, yeah, cherry was one, a pear was another one.
Yes, because I love pear with cheese and.
On a
all that,
salad.
so
Yeah,
good.
it's delicious.
Absolutely.
So you can see we're starting to caramelize there. You can see that our onions are starting to become translucent so that white color is going away.
Right.
We're going to add some garlic. We're going to add just a touch more oil because we're going to need a little bit more for when we add our barrio rice to this. So I'm going to add about another teaspoon. And if you've been on for the first time and never seen our classes, but I don't measure anything because I've been doing it for long enough, I know how much a tablespoon is. And a
So
teaspoon,
it's okay to
a
measure if you
pinch.
don't know.
It's okay to measure, right? The beautiful part about cooking is it's so versatile that as long as you don't burn it, I can help you fix it. That's the key.
Well, that's always a good place to begin, know how to fix it.
That's right. As long as it's not burnt, we can fix it. How's everyone doing out there? We got any questions?
Oh, fantastic. Well,
From where?
all
New
the way from
York?
New York.
Nice.
New York. Love it.
Uh,
Thank you for joining.
our barrio rice.
I'm always afraid of this rice because it does take so long,
So you have to nurture it.
right?
Okay, you can't just put a lid on it and walk away and fluff it every
And there's
5
really no
minutes.
shortcuts.
No,
No. Okay.
this is the shortcut.
This is the shortcut. Got it. So it's a long, it takes a while, plan ahead.
It's really not that bad. So I'll show you, like from the beginning, if you add more stock to it, then you don't have to tend to it as much, right? You don't have to babysit it so often.
Right.
And that's a big key to that, right? I think that's where we're at right there.
Burn it. Do I throw it away?
If you burn the garlic, the onion, or the rice, please start over because you'll never take away the bitterness. Turn your fan on, open the door.
And start over.
Don't call the fire department just yet. Yes, if you burn it, you must start over. Otherwise, you'll never be able to get out the bitterness of whatever's burnt. So once you burn it, it's done. Try again, lower your heat a little bit. You'll be good to go.
Good advice. I like how you're mixing it all in. So everything is going to have that thin coat of the garlic, the onion, the olive oil.
Yeah, and you
all
saw,
together.
so just the amount of oil that we did, you can see how it coated all of our rice.
Absolutely.
And it absorbed it from the pan so that
Right.
that way our risotto is not going to have this oily texture to it.
Right.
We're going to add cheese and butter at the end anyway. Paula Dean would be proud of us for adding butter at the end, but we really want to, yeah, you'll see what that's like when we get there, right?
Right.
So. All right. We want to add a little bit of white wine.
And these are great cooking.
Hey,
So when you guys got
these-
these at home, this is great cooking wine. Very inexpensive.
This is
and
the way
really
to
great.
go.
Yeah.
This is 2 to 3 dishes all the time.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll get 4 out of it, right? And it all depends on what we're doing. So all we're doing is adding some acid to deglaze. So that way we strip off all the sugars from the pot or our pan, and we're going to incorporate that into our rice. As you see, it's harder, but now you see how clean that pan is, right? We've stripped all the sugars by adding that acid. You can smell that.
Oh.
Okay, so now that we got a nice good saute on our rice, we're going to turn our heat down just a little bit. We're going to go to a nice medium heat, and then we're going to start adding our broth. So to get started, we'll start with 2 cups right away. Turn this down just a slight more. So we're gonna add a little more stock just to get going, so that way we don't have to sit here and attend to it so much, because we're gonna start crusting our lamb chops. So this can kind of simmer down and do its thing where we don't have to tend to it as often as we need to. So if you're at a rolling boil right now, let's turn our heat down so you can see that there's a slight simmer going, little bubbles popping. That's what we're looking for right now. So a nice medium low heat. So that way we can get to doing something else. This can work for us while we're working, right?
And what's our temperature on here? Are we, what's our temp again, just to make sure?
Like a medium low, right?
Okay.
So if the bubbles are just periodically popping up like this, if there's a slight little simmer on the outside, you're okay. If you're anything like this, turn it down.
Okay,
We're
good
too
to know.
high, yeah, because then when we're cooking like that, we're gonna have to attend to this a lot more,
Okay.
right? So we're
We
just
need to go
gonna
down.
turn this down a little bit, just so that way it can simmer and do
To
its
the right.
thing. And we don't have to babysit this while we're on the other side of the kitchen doing something else,
Got
right?
it.
Even though right here is the other side of the kitchen.
So a little more even, do you think?
No, I
We're,
think,
we're pretty
what-
much about like in the middle.
yeah, because what we did was we raised it up super high,
So
but you
come back
can
down.
see all this right here. Not really, yeah, it's not really having anything. So we'll just periodically put a stir to that.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is just monitor this and watch it, because as the stock is absorbed into the rice, we're gonna start adding more as we continue to cook.
Yep,
'Kay.
got it. And we are keeping the stock
Warm, yep,
Okay,
we still
keep
want
it
it to
on.
be warm,
Okay.
yep.
Let's go.
So then this guy, handy dandy tool, if you don't have one.
And if you don't have one, these are really inexpensive. This is just a really small one, but Amazon, any of that, easy to buy.
You're
They're just
talking
awesome.
$20-$30
Exactly,
maybe,
it's
and there's
super
several
simple.
different attachments.
Right.
But what's nice about this is you don't have to pull out the big
whole
old
thing.
RoboCoupe,
Yeah.
right? The RoboCoupe is functional for when you're doing a lot of stuff. For in your everyday use at home, this is the ticket right
And
here.
easy to clean.
Salad dressings,
Yep.
salsa. You can pico de gallo in here and just zip, 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 and you're ready to
Awesome.
go.
Yeah.
Chimichurri, zip, 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 you're ready to go. So this is a good tool to have in your kitchen. So we're going to put in our breadcrumb.
And our goal here is to make it just a little bit smaller, right?
Yep, we're just going to pulse it. And I'm going to do this separately because I should have put in our pistachio first, but it's okay.
We'll recover.
So if you can see the consistency difference, might be a little hard, but these are big chunky flakes, and then we just broke it down a little bit. Add this in here, and we'll chop it up too. So just by pulsing it like that really breaks it down quite a bit. So it's not as chunky as it was when it came out of the box. And then we're going to take our pistachios. Let's show you this trick first.
Okay.
So this guy, you can lay these out on your cutting board if you want to. If you just use this edge, you're really going to be able to break up the nut that you're trying to. And this might take a little
I was
longer.
gonna say it might take a while.
You can sit here and pound away at it if you want to.
Or
Right. Utilize your kitchen tools. So
but
that's
all you have is you can use
that's
your
one
own tool.
process. I mean, yeah, and if you put this in a bigger bag where it lays flatter, then you'll be able to break it up a lot faster. It's harder because I've confined it into this little bag, because I'm not going to go this route right here. I just wanted to use this to show you, here's a way you can do it. You can lay this out on the cutting board and chop if you want to. You might lose some of it, or it might go a little stray. So this would be your best alternative. And the reason I pulse is so we can switch the mixture up. If we keep it on the whole time, it'll take a lot longer to break all of that up together, right? Or we'll get too far, so we'll have too fine of a dust and not a nice fine little chop like we're looking for. So you see,
Yes, that looks amazing.
about the same size.
There's really no time at all to do.
So what we're gonna do is just stir this around, incorporate this together. Looks pretty good. Not too much breadcrumb there, but you can see how the consistency, it's almost 50-50. It's a little more pistachio than the breadcrumb, but the breadcrumbs helps neutralize that so it's not so pungent with the pistachio, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks like that'll be
so
great.
that's that piece there. We're gonna want to,
Oh, double check on this. See
so
how
you
it's all puffed up a little bit.
and you see how fast that it absorbed that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not gonna add any liquid just yet because if you see,
Still pretty watery.
actually, you're out of that, we want to add a little bit of liquid. So basically, when you're doing the risotto, you want to make sure that the liquid almost covers the rice, right? So that's what helps give it, cook out that starch to give it that creamy texture.
Got it.
So that's working. We're gonna then take, get this guy out of the way. This guy can go over here. Our lamb chops. Yeah, our goat cheese. So hopefully your goat cheese is soft enough. To be able to spread on there. And with this, Beth, I think we're gonna need to zap it in the microwave a second. We can go right into here. So I'm just gonna break
So not
this.
spreadable yet.
I'm
Right.
just, yeah, I'm just gonna break this up first.
So kind of like anything, you want to separate it a little bit because when it goes in the microwave, it will warm more evenly.
Correct. And typically, your goat cheese is a little creamier. So that it doesn't clump like this, but it's more spreadable. All right, so if you want to zap that, do 15 seconds. That should be good to go. We're going to take a stir to our risotto.
So I have this one. This is more the softer version of that.
Yeah.
That's probably more of
Let's-
spreadable.
Let's give this a go to see how it operates.
Because
to
this
see if
is
it'll-
interesting that it says it's goat. You want me to open this up and put it in there for 15?
No, leave
No?
that alone.
Leave this
Let's-
alone?
Yeah, let's see if this will stick on here. See how this is more like cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this guy open.
Yeah. I do eat a lot of goat cheese with crackers because I love goat cheese. So that's why I have this. It's just a different style, but
This would be more like your traditional, right?
right.
So you see how it's more pliable?
Do I need to warm it?
Yeah, slightly. Yeah.
What, 15 seconds like this?
Yeah, just let's throw it into here.
Okay. Sharp it out.
Yeah, do less than that. Do like 8 seconds.
And add more, right?
If I don't think we'll need to, I think that'll be a good.
This will be 8 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we want the goat cheese to be spreadable so that it'll stick to our lamb like this, right? Just like a butter spread would do.
So not all goat cheese is the same. Kind of different.
Yeah. So take a look at your risotto. Make sure that you're gonna need to add some more stock, which is perfectly okay. So it's doing its thing. How's this goat cheese here? Oh, much better.
Much better.
Even, no, it's work.
Well, and I tasted it, and this is just slightly, it just say cheddar goat milk cheese, and maybe that's the difference.
Correct.
So usually I'll find goat cheese in a package like this, kind of a round package, in the specialty cheese section.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Even like in a little container, like a feta cheese container.
Yes,
So
yeah,
the same,
sometimes,
yeah.
yep. So there is a difference, and it's interesting because it says goat cheese, but slightly different. Oh, such a different product too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you got the one that is a little bit different, harder to spread, maybe warm it a little bit.
It won't
Or
work
No.
now. So alternative is this right here. Dijon mustard.
Oh,
So you're gonna need something for the breadcrumb, the
To stick.
pistachio crumb to stick.
okay, so that's a good alternative if yours turned out like that. But this is good practice because if you bought a different package and it looks a little different. Great idea. Improvise. And if anyone at home needs another alternative, ask us if yours is not working. Want me to warm this?
Yeah, do that one so we can do the other
10
side.
more seconds.
Yep. Perfect. That was perfect too, the 10 seconds.
Perfect.
How's everyone doing out there? We got any questions? No questions so far? All right. Give a stir to our risotto. See how we got enough liquid in there. So as this slowly cooks, it's going to release the starch. It's going to allow this to become super creamy, almost like a cream of wheat, right? It's going to have a pasta texture when we eat it, but it is in fact a rice. So the longer we cook it, the more starch comes out. Here, we want to do this one we won't really need.
Oh, you won't need that? Oh, okay.
Because we want it on the meat portion.
Oh, got it.
This. Like such. Touch on this side. Then we're gonna go into our breadcrumb pistachio mixture.
Chef, I have a question. Someone's asking if cream cheese is a substitute for the cheese.
Yes, you could use cream cheese would work, but you don't get it so soft that it won't stick to the lamb. But same type of concept. If it's a room temperature cream cheese, then that should be soft enough, but yet pliable to where it'll stick. Because if it's too soft, then it's not going to stick very well. All right.
Someone also asking if you added salt with the.
I had not added any salt yet. I'm gonna wait till the end just to see if what it's like when we go and add everything else. It all depends on what chicken stock you're using. So if your chicken stock if you're using chicken stock or chicken broth, that'll be a difference of how much salt you're gonna want to add. I always try to add it at the end. So all we're doing is trying to get a nice good crust on here. Back onto our wrap.
And that's really staying on well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
as
really a
long
good
as
adhesive. So
yeah,
that's, I
so
like that we're
even
giving an alternative.
the mustard will work great too. Typically, it's mustard that's used. I came across using the goat cheese, like I said, really helps kind of cut out the gaminess of the lamb, and it pairs so well with the cherry risotto.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's the big piece.
Well, it looks delicious.
So as long as we got a good crust on there, looks pretty good. I think we can do a little better job on this guy. So we're going to go ahead and do that.
I don't know about everybody at home, but doesn't he make it look so easy?
All right. These guys are ready to go into the oven.
Okay.
Let's pop them in the oven. Say, go ahead, grab that door. Perfect. We're going to set a timer. We're going to start with 12 minutes.
12,
Yep.
okay.
Just because we seared ours a little bit longer. All right. Moving right along. We're going to get our little spot. Add some stuff. All right. Let that keep going. We're going to take our little sauce pot here.
Okay.
We're going to get that going on high. We're going to need our shallot. We're going to need a tiny bit of this richness. A little butter. You can use olive oil if you'd like. The butter is just going to give it that extra rich flavor to it as opposed to the olive oil.
Okay.
Right? So we're going to add some shallot, saute. That's probably good for what we're going to do. We don't want to overpower it with the shallots. Get our cherries ready. So this we want to be on nice and high, real quick, real fast. We're going to bring it up and then let it simmer down, right? So it's going to reduce while everything else is working and doing its thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the beauty. So you see our rice. I'm going to turn our heat up just a little. Not a lot, but just slightly. Just because you can see how it's fluffing up some, but our temperature is not hot enough yet. So we're not really being able to extract the starch from the rice that we're looking for. So we're going to slightly turn that up just a little bit. Yes. A scallion is a matured chive. So a chive is real thin, which is a green onion. Scallion is a green onion. A chive is a baby scallion. A shallot is a cross between a red onion and a garlic.
Oh, I learned something new every day that I did not know a cross between the red onion and a garlic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed the garlic part. But now that you say it, it makes sense.
Yeah, because it's strong like the garlic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But then it has that sweetness like the red onion. Yeah, so
And
it's
a bit of the coloring because it's a little more pinky.
And so the scallion is a green onion, right? This typically the scallion doesn't grow for the onion to bulb. So there's a certain, like a pearl onion,
Mhm.
that's kind of it at the bulb of it. And then the shoot is the scallion, the green to it. And then the chive is the sprout of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
All right, so we're caramelizing. That's going really good. We're gonna add a little bit of garlic into this. We're gonna add some of those cherries there, Beth.
Awesome. Just
Just
a
a
handful?
yeah, not a handful, but just a little more than that, probably twice that amount. There, one more. So we need about a cup for our risotto. Do a little more. We really want to get that flavor here. Okay.
No, I think that's the key ingredient for this little flavor profile.
Yeah. So we're really trying to extract that, right, as quick and fast as possible. If you notice your shallot or your garlic starting to get too caramelized, turn your heat down. That's okay. I'm just continuously stirring like this, so that way we can get to the point that we need it to as fast as possible. All right. And then behind you, if you'll grab that red wine. It won't flame, so don't worry.
Well, I don't want a facial either.
You don't want a red wine facial?
No, like I'm
They
good.
haven't tried to upsell you that at the
No,
spa lately?
no red wine facial.
And if you would pour yourself a nice glass of that wine.
Okay.
Take a stir at our risotto here.
Steve, do you want to join me? Is this a good time for a market update?
This would be just about time for our market update. Yes, it would.
Wonderful. Wanted to mention just a couple of housekeeping items too. I just wanted to remind everybody that we are giving 20 bags away with groceries. And the way that you can actually receive the groceries is to, if you're a builder, work for a builder, give us a referral. If you're joining us and you're a client of ours, go on Facebook, like us on Facebook, share your photos of the event, cook along with us, anything that you can have for participation. We'd love to see more of you. So that's how we're making, and a Google review. Give us reviews, tell your friends about us. That is what's going to help you guys get the cookie bags and join us every time. So wanted to make sure we talked about that. And what are we thinking about the market right now?
Here's a couple things that we discovered from last year. So right now, you probably have a group of people that currently own a home, and if they've owned a home for 5 or 6 years, they probably got a 2.5% to 3.5% interest rate.
Which is like
Amazing,
stellar.
amazing. So think about that. That's good.
Yes.
But they're financially handcuffed to that house because of the rates.
Yes.
And they may want to go buy another house, but they don't want to sell that house because of the rate. Thus, the millionaire real estate investor. So guys, you have your first rental property. It's got a 2.75% interest on it. Before you decide to move, we can show you how to leverage some cash out of that home to buy a new home. We can help you with the timing, so you have absolutely no problem. We actually take the property into a 3-year lease with an option to buy. Gives you a much better tenant. You don't have that turnover all the time.
Yeah.
And the pride of ownership for that person that moves into that house, that family, is amazing. You get the property back 3 years later. They normally don't exercise the option.
Yep.
Sometimes they stay there 2 terms, so 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we can show you how to build real wealth through owning that property. Now, the second thing we noticed this year is if you're in that home, you're one group, and the other group is in an apartment complex. Almost 1 million people in Phoenix are in an apartment complex. We can help you buy your new home by satisfying the lease and getting you into that new
Absolutely.
home. And a brand new home right now has the best interest rates. They're below 5. You're not gonna get it on a resale, but you'll get it on a brand new home. Plus, you may get your closing costs paid. So Beth is probably the best in the state for navigating new home construction. If you think you could save money by doing it yourself and not hiring a realtor, you are seriously mistaken.
Absolutely. And we had a question come up. Let me grab that question. I want to make sure that we read it because we want to make sure that we kind of incorporate in someone's question. So what are the benefits of working with a realtor instead of trying to buy or sell on your own? And I think that starts at the very beginning when you're just trying to determine what the price is of your home. What are you going to market your home at? And then who are you going to market to? We market to hundreds of thousands of people. And then how you, a person that's trying to sell your own property, how are you going to get out to all those people?
And probably the biggest thing, because I did this one time out of my 20-something houses I bought and sold. When you're personally involved, you can make some mistakes.
It's emotional to you. It's your
Really
home.
is.
It's your family home. And professional photography. And what's interesting is we not only have photographers go out there, but we help guide them on what the vision is that we have to sell your home. So the photography is not standing in front of the house, snapping a quick photo. It's much more than that. And we
Plus
have
the
one of our,
staging.
and the staging and what to remove, what to change, what the objections might be. There's just so many components. And then that's just starting, not even getting an offer, negotiating an offer, or through the closing paperwork. If you miss some paperwork, you've left an opening for someone to cancel and get all their earnest money back and you don't even know. So every step along the way is crucial to the success of closing. And that could be with a buyer or selling your own property. So we really feel that our industry is a benefit to help you get the most that you can get.
And 45 years experience,
Absolutely.
almost 30 years experience. So guys, and we're the top team in Arizona, and we don't take that lightly.
Absolutely. We work hard for it.
Yeah, we call ourselves the elite team on purpose, just like elite soldiers or elite anything. We absolutely strive for the best, which means getting you top dollar in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle.
And when making a selection, you can look at marketing materials for other agents out there, and I feel confident that they do not compare to ours. And that we are getting call after call lately of people seeing all of our marketing saying, no one else is doing this. How come I'm getting all of yours, but I'm not getting anyone else's? Because they're not paying to do that. And they're not trying to promote your house either. Because everyone that's called us has also seen your home, the homes that we're marketing. So definitely consider all of that. And I know so many of you on today with us are our clients and our friends. And we are so excited that you guys join us each week and continue to use us and continue to give us those Google reviews. We love it.
We really do. So
Yeah.
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And we're going to get back to the kitchen
Yeah,
cooking.
let's do this.
This looks amazing.
So, thanks for our commercial break.
We're
Back from our
cooking.
commercial break. I'm just spinning these guys around. You can see this one's getting a little darker on this side than this one. We're gonna give those about, I want to say 6 minutes.
6
Beth.
minutes, okay?
Yep. What I've done is I've just continued to stir. If everyone starts to see how that creaminess is coming out of that risotto, right? If you need to add some more liquid, by all means, add some water to that. That's okay. But you can see how it's starting to get creamy. For our reduction here, I added our little bouillon cube. These guys are awesome. Okay, these are great to add flavor. Chicken, beef,
So that was after you added the red wine, then you put one of those in there?
I hit one of these in there. I
Okay.
added more water. So I added about a half a cup of water because I wanted to bring it up really, really fast so we can reduce it down. The reason I added the water is these are loaded in sodium. The water is going to help cut that in half, right?
Okay.
If not more than. I also added our fresh thyme. Just pulled off some leaves of about 3 sprigs. I'll say 5 sprigs. So that way all that can start to introduce and be incorporated into that, right? So that's that. So now we're at a nice good point to add our,
Yeah, that looks perfect.
we're getting there, we're getting there. Let's add our cherries. For us, I knew, I had a sneaking suspicion,
We need a few more
we
cherries
were gonna need a little more cherries.
for that big pot, all right?
But I wanted to save this also for this portion of it too. So this is one of those things that may be a little difficult to get a grasp on, right? So the easiest thing to do is just try to cut through your cherry and then try to keep it in a nice little bunch. So that way you can just chop it down. So almost like when you're doing a mince on anything, like whether it's an herb or your garlic or your shallot or your onion or a bell pepper, anytime you're mincing, it's the most amount of cuts and the most amount of passes through it. So what you're doing is trying to keep that in that nice little stack here or pile and just cutting through that cherry as much as possible. They don't need to be super fine. We're not trying to mince them. We're just trying to make them smaller than getting a big cherry like that.
Okay.
Because we want to have more of that flavor throughout the risotto. And that's why we're cutting. When you roast them and add all that juice to that, a little different.
Do you think we need some more water in there when it looks pretty thick?
Add our water, I got it right there for us.
Okay, perfect.
Reduction's coming along nicely.
Oh, much better, a little looser.
Yep, and we can get some more water too, just in case if we need it, because that's almost ready to go.
It's really coming together now.
Sure is. And it really comes together right at the end like this.
Right.
Yeah.
First time I'm a lefty, so I have to get that around. That end is very hot on there.
There you go. We're gonna add our mint to go with the lamb. Mm-hmm.
This looks so delicious. I love the color of the cherry and I can't wait to taste it in there.
So all I'm doing is just mincing up that fresh parsley, help add little aromatics to our risotto. Since you're a lefty.
I know. It's a difference with the pan.
That's okay.
What's the scoop of that Texas-clad tan series that, Gordon Ramsay is making? Those good pans?
So I myself have not played with those pans. It's the latest technology that's out there. So it's not a Teflon, but it acts as a Teflon. So it's super non-stick, super high heat. I would like to get a hold of some just to play with to see how good they are. April 27th. Happy birthday. So those things, they work great, from what I've seen and what I've heard over the people who've used them. Pans are what they are. I mean, the difference between spending money in the pan is how often you'll have to replace it. So if you buy a cheap pan, you'll have to replace it more often. These guys here, this Calphalon set that's right here, Kirkland has a brand, or Kirkland has a set that's just like this. It's a little thinner in gauge, not by a whole lot, but just slightly. The difference between the two is you'll probably last 10 years plus with this guy, and the Kirkland one will last about 6 or 7. Just depends on how much you're using it.
Interesting. Well, there's a lot of different pan styles out there, so that's
All
good.
platter, nice
an
ones. You
interesting
have
comment.
some of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me grab these pork or these lamb chops.
Ooh, that looks delicious. Get this out of your way.
So now the key, let him rest.
Do you cover it or?
Nope, just
Nope.
let them do their thing, just like that. Our risotto's finishing up. Our
Ooh, that looks
reduction's
delicious.
coming along.
How's everybody keeping up? You guys cooking along with us?
Any questions out there? Not yet? Let's do this, Beth. Go ahead, let's take a sample of our rice, our risotto.
No, you go.
You go, it's all you.
Oh,
Crunchy, soft.
mm. Almost soft, has a little bit in there.
Just a teeny
Just a
tiny.
teeny tiny bit.
So we're
yeah.
gonna add a little more liquid.
Yep.
No big deal.
Teeny tiny, not much.
So we're
But it
almost,
has a different flavor to it.
we're almost there.
Interesting.
It's not, I mean, it's different, right? Because
Yeah.
since you're cooking out that starch, it's gonna have a different flavor to it, a different profile.
Mm-hmm. I taste a little bit of that mint,
Mm-hmm.
cherry.
Good, nice and light, right?
Nice and very light.
That's
I mean, it was like just a touch in there.
compliment, right?
Absolutely.
That's the key to that. So as those are resting, our risotto's gonna finish up.
Right. I mean, you're right at the edge there.
Mhm, good. So then now is our time. We're gonna add some Parmesan cheese. It's gonna tighten up a little more.
Hey, Chef, I have a
That's
couple
really
of
good
questions.
flavor too, because Parmesan cheese always has a nice little
Saltiness to it.
with the risotto will be perfect.
So the reason that I didn't add any salt, because I want to taste it after we add that Parmesan cheese. Had we would have added it early on, we may have had too salty of a dish.
Right.
And that's all based upon preference. I don't have a salt palate. So when I taste salt, I know like, whoa, that's salty.
Right.
And then I don't, not that it's salty, but I can really recognize it. So salt is to help enhance the flavors. It kind of helps mend them all together. Salt's also a water molecule binder. Okay, so it helps bind the molecules of water together. So if you're not adding sea salt into your water, you might want to help you stay hydrated throughout the day. Steve and I were talking about this a little bit on what the benefits of doing that. Does your water taste salty? Yeah, a little bit, but you notice that you're less parched throughout the day. Yep.
And you throw in a little lemon.
Yep.
Lemon's good for you as well.
Great add the lemon.
Yeah, I was actually getting dehydrated in my yoga, and my instructor said, absolutely, throw in a little sea salt and a little lemon, and man, it worked like a
Big
charm.
difference. Awesome.
You could tell throughout the yoga you weren't going, man, I'm super thirsty, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a question.
But how do you tell that the risotto is done? Is it tender to taste?
Yes, tender to taste so that there's no crunch to the rice left.
Yes.
So it's nice and creamy and it is
Very
tender.
similar to a pasta.
Yes,
It's a
it'll
little
have
like
that
that.
tenderness, like that's why I said it'll have that pasta-like texture when you take a bite of it. If there is a crunch, then it's not quite there yet. Just keep adding some liquid to it. Just keep cooking it out. You'll be good to go. The reason we waited to add our cherry as well is because we didn't want to add it to turn the risotto that super dark red color, right? That's why we got our reduction here for it. Let's taste that actually while we're at it. Let's see a spoon, excuse me. We're gonna add, yep, it's good. We're gonna add a little more water.
What was the flavor that made you want to add the water? What did you think?
The bouillon cube.
Oh, you could taste more bouillon than cherry, maybe? Not really?
Sodium, so the
Sodium.
salt
Okay,
content.
salt,
So
okay.
that I could taste right off the bat the salt content, right? So by adding the water, and as we reduce it, we're extracting more, like from the cherry. There is salt in that cherry. It's
Got it.
natural, right? Sodium.
Got it. All right, we're getting close. Anybody else? Is anyone done? Is anyone done yet that you want to share your photo? Anyone
Yes,
try
please.
it? Tell us what you think.
Share your photo.
Just out there,
Send your comments. Let us know what you'd like to learn how to cook.
right?
We're
We still have some openings.
We
this year.
still have some openings this year. We're looking for the feedback. We've been asking all last season. We want to know what you want to learn how to cook. We've had quite a few recommendations for repeats. Not in my book to repeat stuff, but if we take something and modify it to make it slightly different, we're definitely willing and open to do that.
Yep.
But we want to know what you want to learn how to do. Like I said, for us, this is processes. I, in my kitchen, came up with this with my roommate, who's a chef as well. And we said, oh man, we're on to something. So then we do it again and we try to perfect it. Then I started building the recipe so that way we can help get it all together and then help bring it to your. So that's the beauty of it.
Wonderful.
Sherry said she will be making it with chicken tonight, but she hasn't started cooking yet. They prefer to eat later.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that.
I'm guilty of that, trust me. All right, so where are we at here?
Hey, Chef, I have a question for you.
Perfect.
It's creamy. Oh man, that's good. I am gonna hit this with just a touch of salt.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Color for life. So we got one more piece to add to this.
Okay.
Am I
Because
able
Paula
to
Dean would be
unmute
upset if you
and ask
didn't.
a question?
Oh, the butter.
And all this
To
is
the
to
chef,
help
question mark?
richen it up a little bit. That's all that it's doing. You don't have to add it. It also helps with it staying so clumpy together because the fat helps kind of keep it separated a little.
I wouldn't have thought that. Interesting.
Hello, I have a question for you.
AR has a question.
Yes.
Am I being heard?
Ask your question.
Oh, hello there. The question is, when the chef said that the pan from Kirkland, maybe Costco, would be 4 years less workable than the pans you have, what deterioration in
question?
quality? Oh, okay, we're having trouble hearing me, huh? Hello there, chef.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. So you mentioned the pan would be less, if you got them in Kirkland, would get 4 years less than the other brand. How would that deterioration be shown? How would that pan go bad for you in 6 years versus 10 years?
It depends on how much you use it. So for me, using the pans every single day, I'm constantly using it. The gauge, so the thickness of the pot.
What was the question?
So the question is, what would differentiate how long your pan will last for, right?
Okay.
Two things, how often you use it, two, how you wash it. I guess, and then
Don't put them in the dishwasher.
There's a third one. Yeah, never.
Never.
Right, never. Even though they're dishwasher safe, the dishwashing soap is going to break down Teflon. Two, you notice what we're using today? Wooden spoon. This is a key to saving your pans and your pots. Utilize this as much as possible.
No metal.
Absolutely not. Even though if they say you could take this spoon and you can scrape it, over time, you're going to continue to beat that up and you're going to release the Teflon into your food. Two, once you scratch that pan and that little scratch is there, it's going to just continue to deteriorate over time. So the more you use it, the more it's going to deteriorate. Just like everything, if you take care of it, it'll last a long time. The other part of that is the thickness of this. So with those other pans that are thinner in a gauge of metal, which means the thickness, this is going to last longer from the way what we're doing, right? So this is made to high heat here and high heat in the oven without any hesitation whatsoever. Some pans aren't equipped to do that. They might say that they're high heat, but their real threshold is only 400 degrees, which is going to be a lot less than what we're capable of doing in the oven. So if we were going to broil salmon at 500 degrees, that pan isn't quite capable of withstanding that temperature.
It'll break down the pan quicker.
It'll beat it up for sure, absolutely, right? So the quality, I mean, you get what you pay for. It's just a thing and it works with everything across the board. But if you take care of it, you could get, you know, like I said, that Kirkland set could last 10 years easily, if not more. It all depends on how often you're using it. For me, I'm using this stuff just about every day, and it's the same pots and pans that you're using the same day. This guy's great to do sauces in. This guy is universal. You could do anything in there. You could scramble eggs in this if you wanted to. If you take care of it, this will continue to be able to scramble eggs for a group of 10 to 15 people without hesitation.
And I want to say this set, we've probably had 10 years.
Yeah, this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
At
mean,
least,
if we've been
we've
doing
had it
this
the
for
whole-
5,
We've had it the whole time we've lived here. So yeah.
which is good. So keeping it out of the dishwasher's big. Also, keep your knives out of the dishwasher
Absolutely.
big, because the dishwashing soap deteriorates the blade and it's harder to keep a fine-tuned sharp knife if that's the case. I always hand wash all my pots and pans. The dishwasher is for silverware, plates, cups. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it and how I choose to go about it. 'Cause
We do the same.
it lasts so much longer. So we got another question. Did that answer your question, actually?
Yeah, he said nice answer.
Okay.
Okay, and then Sherry says, agreed, chef. I use a lot of cast iron because I cook every night, but I am using Hexclad design brand, has worked really well.
See, and I want to get my hands on that because I love to play with things and see how they work and operate, just so that way I can send out recommendations. I actually just bought a new set of knives called Husk. They're a Japanese brand. Phenomenal. The handle, the blade, the weight of the blade is completely balanced, which means when I set that knife like this on my finger, I'll bring it next class so we can show you. I can set that knife like this and it's completely balanced, which means the blade weighs the exact amount of weight as the handle, which is huge for me using these tools every day. So that's what that is. I snuck it away for 80 bucks and it's almost a whole set. It's a chef knife, a Santoku, a vegetable knife, which I'll bring so I can show you guys what that looks like. It's a cleaver, it's a boning knife, and it's a bread knife. So almost a whole complete set of knives for 80 bucks.
That
And
seems
steal.
Yeah, that is
Because
steal.
these guys, these are a knife brand that I prefer as well. Wusthof, Icon Classic. This set right here is going to be well over $1,000.
Yeah.
Hands down. Easy.
Easy.
Yeah. I had the same one. I had twice the amount. I had a 22-piece set of this exact same knife. And I, again, found it for $1,000 instead of $1,700.
Right.
And that's, I mean, it's out there, they're expensive, but a knife like this will stay sharp as long as you don't beat it up for a long, long time. And that's the beauty of it. So,
Right.
shoot. I think we're ready to play.
All right.
The plate up time, right?
Oh, that's always the great part.
So let's see what we're working with.
Chef, Julie's computer died. So can you repeat what you added to your risotto?
At what point? We added the cherries, we added the mint, we added the fresh parsley, we added Parmesan cheese and the butter, and that was all at the end.
And the butter was last.
Yeah, the cherries we added with about what 6 to 8 minutes left of cooking, and then probably 4 minutes left of cooking. We added the mint, we added the parsley, and then the butter and the Parmesan cheese was at the very, very end.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna need to get one of these bad guys.
Like, how do you cut it? We're all gonna watch you cut that.
Well, it's because I was running.
Trying
So
to find the break.
I kept running on the bone there. Yeah, so I was running on the break. Lamb chop, medium rare.
Wow.
Perfect.
That looks
That's
delicious.
the way you want it, right there.
So tell them why you're going on the bone and how that works.
So I'm running right on the side of one bone, and then I'm trying to get through this piece that's right here so that I can cut a nice chop like such. So that way you have this nice little
That is
chop
perfectly
like that, right?
cooked. Perfectly.
So then
Chef, can you repeat the brand of the $80 knife set?
it's called Husk. It's Huusk. It's a Japanese brand.
Samurai sword.
I don't know if they do that exactly. Ooh, a little hot.
Kiara wants to see a ratatouille well done or a
Ooh.
carbonara.
A ratatouille would be fun.
That's a great idea. Oh, that looks amazing.
And because we need to brighten it up slightly.
She already says, last time I had leftover risotto, I mixed it in some leftover zucchini casserole. Don't laugh, but I fried it up and it came out so good.
So that is like an arancini. If you were to take that and then roll it into the breadcrumbs and fry it, you made an arancini and you didn't even know that, which is a classical Italian appetizer. We did gnocchi, remember?
We did that.
Yeah, we did that with the blue cheese.
All right, are we good?
And that's it right there. We have our nice pistachio crusted lamb,
And
cherry risotto, accompanied by a nice red wine.
our next month,
Next class, yep, is
we are
gonna
going to be doing the raspberry chipotle salmon.
we're gonna do a pan-seared salmon with a raspberry chipotle sauce paired with a coconut lime rice.
Ooh,
I'm
that
still
sounds
working on the
great.
cocktail for that. I'm leaning towards kind of like a Southwest Paloma, which is gonna be grapefruit and tequila. We've done a Paloma before.
Mhm.
This one's a little slightly different. That, or what would pair well with this also is like similar to a Moscow Mule, but
Cool.
slightly different. I think I want to save the mule for summertime because it's crisp. Adding rosemary to that, delicious.
Oh, sounds
Yeah.
very interesting. We're excited to have you guys join us next month as well. Take care, you guys. Have a great evening, and thanks for cooking with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.